When a horror film becomes a hit, it's bound to spawn a sequel or 2, or 10. Although some franchises churn out more of the same, this strategy can get stale very quickly. So, to keep things fresh, follow-ups tend to expand on the lore, explore the origins of villains, and answer all sorts of lingering questions. Of course, unearthing some big truths can have significant effects on a beloved horror property, for better or for worse. This is of course a sequel list, so please check out the first one, but I'm Sean Ferrick for What Culture Horror, and here are 10 more horror movie answers fans had to wait for. Number 10. Norma's life before the events of Psycho, Psycho 4: The Beginning. At the end of Alfred Hitchcock's subversive slasher, deranged motel owner Norman Bates insists he wouldn't hurt a fly. Unfortunately, the events leading up to this point say otherwise. Norman snapped after murdering his abusive mother, Norma, causing him to develop a split personality based on her. Every time he was attracted to a woman, Norman would kill her as his mother personality. Despite playing a pivotal role in the Psycho franchise, little is revealed in the original about Norman's dear old mum. Also, Psycho 2 put a spanner in the works when a waitress called Emma Spool claimed to be Norman's real mother, and Norma was his aunt. Luckily, prequel Psycho 4: The Beginning set the record straight, retconning the events of Psycho 2 and reconfirming Norma is Norman's mother. Norma conditioned Norman from an early age that all women were sexual deviants save for her. Anytime Norman was aroused, Norma ordered him to dress as a woman, hoping to combat his manly urges. Believing he was the only one deserving of Norma's affection, Norman was consumed by jealousy when his mother announced she was engaged to another man. In a rage, he poisoned the pair's iced tea and staged it like a murder-suicide pact. Even though pieces of Norman's past had been alluded to, this was the first time we saw the events that shaped him into the murderer he became. Number 9. What Happened to Andy, Curse of Chucky, and Cult of Chucky. Though Chucky's original owner Andy Barkley played a pivotal role in Child's Plays 1 to 3, the later installments moved away from the character to focus more on Chucky's growing family. But since Andy made it out alive the last time he tussled with the diabolical good guy doll, fans wondered if they would ever see him again. That's why it was reassuring to see Andy all grown up in Curse of Chucky, and still played by the same actor, Alex Vincent. Having said that, Andy's appearance felt like a gratuitous cameo since he only appeared in the film's mid-credits scene. Fortunately, Andy plays a major role in the follow-up, Cult of Chucky. In this 7th Child's Play picture, it's revealed that Andy has kept the living head of Chucky in a vault for 4 years. Believing Chucky will transfer his essence into another doll if he dies, Andy thinks it's best to keep this decapitated noggin alive forever. However, he soon learns Chucky can split his soul into multiple dolls, compelling Andy to track down the other bodies and destroy them. Andy may have fallen off the map for a while, but it was nice to see he's one of the select few to have survived every encounter with Chucky. Number 8. Toulon's True Motivation, Puppet Master 3: Toulon's Revenge. Puppet Master follows a horde of murderous figurines brought to life by an alchemist, André Toulon. Although Toulon is the franchise's protagonist, he pops his clogs in the original movie's prologue, so little is known about him initially. But considering Puppet Master spawned a dozen sequels, multiple prequels, a crossover, and 2 spin-offs, it's no surprise to learn the follow-ups shed more light on the puppet's creator. Since the miniature creatures are wicked in nature, it's safe to assume Toulon is cut from the same cloth, especially since he has connections with Nazis. However, Puppet Master 3 paints a very different picture of the masterful puppeteer revolving around Toulon when he worked for a theatre show in Berlin during World War II. When the Nazis discovered Toulon brought his puppets to life with a special formula, they prepared to steal it. After the Nazis murdered Toulon's wife, he vowed to use his puppets to exact his revenge. Puppet Master 3 also revealed that each puppet harbors the soul of one of Toulon's associates. In fact, the female puppet contains the soul of Toulon's dead wife. Incorporating this detail to the lore was a great way to humanize the puppets, which were initially perceived as mindless killing machines. Number 7. Hannibal's Origins, Hannibal Rising. Hannibal Rising doesn't come close to matching The Silence of the Lambs and even falls short of some of the underwhelming sequels. However, this prequel does provide new details of Hannibal Lecter's cryptic life, including how he developed a taste for human flesh. After Hannibal's parents were killed by the Nazis, he and his sister, Misha, were forced to hide in their family's hunting lodge. When starved Nazis found the house, they were so consumed by hunger, they ate Misha. Driven by revenge, Hannibal vowed to hunt Misha's killers down and make them suffer. While slaughtering one of the men, a drop of blood splashed in Hannibal's mouth. As he licked it off, Hannibal was surprised to learn he enjoyed the taste. When Hannibal located the ringleader, he discovered a horrifying truth about that fateful day. It turns out Hannibal ate a broth made from his sister's corpse alongside these Nazis and fellow collaborators and repressed the memory to avoid being traumatized. By unlocking this repressed memory, Hannibal awakened a very literal taste for blood. Unable to quench his appetite, Hannibal decided to embrace his cannibalistic lifestyle. If Hannibal didn't pursue these Nazi collaborators, he may have never indulged his savagery and become an infamous serial killer. Number 6. Where did that gun come from? Prey. Love it or hate it, Predator 2's ending left many dumbfounded. After Lieutenant Mike Harrigan defeats the titular beast, he's confronted by his extraterrestrial tribe. Since the Predator was defeated fairly in battle, his clan not only spare Harrigan, but gift him with, of all things, a flintlock pistol. This was an eye-opening scene since it proved these galactic warriors lived by a code of honor and were not as mindless as initially depicted. However, this revelation was somewhat undercut since there was zero explanation how the Predators came into possession of the ancient firearm. Fortunately, all was unveiled 32 years later in the prequel, Prey. Set in the Great Plains in the early 18th century, Comanche warrior Naru finds herself being pursued by one of the interstellar hunters. A poacher called Raphael Adelini gives Naru his flintlock pistol, which she uses to knock off the creature's helmet and disable its main weaponry. The pistol's origins may not be significant to the narrative, but Predator 2 fans were happy to see this mystery being put to rest. What do you think was one of the long-awaited and both super hyped or possibly overhyped answer that you had to wait for? Let us know in the comments below. Number 5. Jason Voorhees' immortality, Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. Few horror villains, if any, are more indestructible than Friday the 13th's big bad Jason Voorhees. The hockey mask-wearing zombie has been drowned, impaled, electrocuted, crushed, melted, and blown to pieces. Nevertheless, the world's scariest mommy's boy just keeps on going. Since Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday was touted as the last entry in the franchise, spoiler alert, it wasn't, the writers decided to unveil the origins behind the brute's invincibility. And the big revelation was dumb. In the film's opening, Jason is led into a trap by an FBI SWAT team where he's blown to Kingdom Come. But at the morgue, the coroner is compelled to consume Jason's dark heart, transferring the maniac's essence to him. Over time, it's explained that a demon called the Hell Baby has been residing in Jason's heart for many years. This creature endows Jason with superhuman strength, invulnerability, and a compulsion to take lives and consume their souls. The Hell Baby can only be killed by a mystical dagger, which is why Jason could never be put down for good in the past. Only after being stabbed with the dagger during the climax was Jason defeated once and for all, until he came back in Jason X, and Freddy vs. Jason, and the remake. Number 4. The demon's identity, Exorcist 2, The Heretic. It's hard to fathom how much of a worldwide sensation The Exorcist was. Not only did William Friedkin's blood-curdling masterpiece traumatize moviegoers across the globe, it became, at that point, the most successful R-rated horror ever. Featured one of the most iconic theme songs of all time, won 2 Oscars, and elevated the genre as a whole. This is a remarkable achievement considering how minimalistic the plot is, with The Exorcist centered on young Regan MacNeil being possessed by a demon. The prologue indicates this entity has connections with a talisman in Mesopotamia, but that's not much to go by. By the time the movie is over, viewers still don't know the demon's true motivation, origin, or name. However, all was divulged in Exorcist 2: The Heretic, unfortunately. Upon investigation, it's uncovered that Regan was possessed by an Assyrian demon called Pazuzu, who targets people with psychic abilities. It turns out that Pazuzu took over Regan's body to quash her dormant powers, believing she was the forerunner of a new type of humanity. Even though The Exorcist worked perfectly by maintaining the mystery, The Heretic threw it all away with a revelation that was stupid and nonsensical. And I'm just going to add a note here myself. The Exorcist 2: The Heretic isn't the worst film ever made, which it was labelled as for a while. It was, however, poorly plotted, poorly thought out, and quite frankly, unnecessary. Still, Louise Fletcher's bloody good in it. Number 3. What drove Leatherface's family to cannibalism? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. In Tobe Hooper's revolutionary Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Sally Hardesty and her friends stumble upon a remote house only to learn it's inhabited by the cannibalistic Leatherface and his psychotic family. What makes this deplorable bunch even more terrifying is the fact there's no rhyme or reason to their sadistic actions. However, the sequel proves there's a bit more to it than that. Though details are brief, TCM2 provides some crucial insight into the flesh-eating family's behavior. Before he developed a taste for human flesh, Leatherface's grandfather, Earl Smithing Sawyer, worked at an abattoir. Earl believed he was born for the job since he could slaughter animals faster and more efficiently than anyone else. When the industry's workers were replaced with machinery, Earl became a relic overnight. Unable to provide for his family, the Sawyers were driven to cannibalism, with Earl believing that consuming human flesh rejuvenated his body, causing him and his children to develop an insatiable hunger for it. Considering Grandpa Sawyer is 137 years old in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, there seems to be some truth to his beliefs, as sickening as they may be. As such, it seems like the Sawyers devour their prey not purely out of bloodlust, but to prolong their lives. Number 2. The Purge's true purpose, the Purge election year, and the first Purge. For one night per year, all crime is legal. Though the Purge had a great premise, that was barely explored in the first installment. Rather than showing the chaos this barbaric law generated throughout the country, the original focused on a single family dealing with home invaders. Although it's mentioned that the new Founding Fathers of America sanctioned Purge Day to combat crime, little else was given away. Fortunately, the follow-ups expanded on how this gruesome tradition came to be. In the Purge election year and the first Purge, it's made clear Purge Day was devised by the elites not to eradicate crime, but to eradicate the poor. The NFFA emphasizes purges are effective since unemployment in the country has plummeted to 1%, but the reason unemployment is at an all-time low is because poverty-stricken folk are being targeted by purgers, giving the illusion this holiday benefits the nation. Election year also highlights how people must pay coverage, so their properties are off limits on Purge Day. However, the NFFA raises the coverage price exponentially the day before a purge, so nobody on the breadline can afford it. As a result, there's nothing stopping purgers from destroying working-class homes and work facilities, making it easier for the rich to wrangle control. Although giving away too much can dilute the mystery, expanding on the Purge's lore was the right move. As once audiences knew the truth behind how the Purge came to be, it puts the earlier movies in a whole new perspective. Number 1. How is everything connected? Glass. Even though M. Night Shyamalan is renowned for his mind-blowing twists, none of his work has topped The Sixth Sense's jaw-dropping ending. Having said that, Split came close. In that 2016 indie horror, Casey and her friends are kidnapped by Kevin Wendell Crumb, a deeply disturbed man with 24 personalities. In Split's third act, Kevin unlocks a new personality called the Beast, endowing him with super strength and durability. Just as it looks like the story is wrapping up, David Dunn from Unbreakable appears, proving both films are connected. Shortly after, the esteemed director announced the two characters and Unbreakable's main villain, Elijah Price, would return in a final installment, Glass. Although the crossover was underwhelming, it proved that David, Kevin, and Elijah's destinies have always been intertwined. In Unbreakable, David realized he was impervious to physical harm when he survived a devastating train crash. In the last scene, he learned Elijah orchestrated the crash, hoping that an unharmed sole survivor would emerge from the wreckage, proving the existence of real-life superheroes. While this was a shocking twist, Glass took it to another level, revealing Kevin's father died in that train crash, allowing his tyrannical mother to take full custody of him. The years of abuse that Kevin suffered caused him to develop his personalities and unlock his superpowers. So not only is Elijah responsible for Kevin's horrific childhood, his actions indirectly led to Kevin developing his superhuman abilities. And when footage of Kevin's superhuman strength made it online, Elijah fulfilled his lifelong dream since he exposed super beings to the world. Glass was far from perfect, but this ending was a nice way to link the three movies together, allowing the overarching story to come full circle.